on. Just try to get as close as you can and get it on there like that. So that'll make a nice little back rail for the boat. Ship. And then we can move on to part number 10. Part number 10 is the outer rail. It's going to go right here onto part number 8. And it's going to... It's, you know... It just looks... I just want it to look pretty. That's why I made it. Cut out that white space. So when I was about 13 or 14, my dad converted this aluminum canoe into a sailboat, and I think mostly because the canoe didn't have much of a keel, the sailboat was always a little bit tricky to keep going like straight, but we learned some of the basic principles of wind hitting a sail and then carrying a boat in a direction. So that was fun. Later on, he acquired a full-on sailboat in a trade for dental services because he was a dentist, right? So he had this sailboat. I think we took it out, from what I can remember, twice. And then I think it sat in our backyard for like the next 5 or 6 years before he did something with it. I don't know, maybe somebody wanted it and it moved on to other owners. But that was in Virginia. A lot more places to sail. Here in Utah, there's a couple places you can sail. There's actually a place here, like pretty close, that has sailboats you can get a hold of. So I'm thinking about getting back into it, you know? A little sailing. Teach the kids the nautical arts. But on the other hand, why? I don't know if you guys read the comic XKCD, but they had this one comic where they're like, the guy goes on vacation and he's like, oh, I climbed Mount Everest, and the other guy's like, well, oh, I'm so sorry, like, you didn't know that they like invented planes. You could have just flown right over. Well, that little anecdote. All right, so part number 11. This part forms the back of the boat. As Adam Sandler's doppelganger on that one Celebrity Jeopardy from that one time on SNL, you know. Come to the back of the boat. Yeah, I've said that like every time I've gotten on a boat. Since then, so since like the year 1998 or something. Wow, for the last 20 years I've been saying that every time I'm on a boat. Especially when, you know, someone actually does need to come to the back of the boat. Alright, so 11-1, 11 to B1, 11 to B2, you just line those up with those lines there on the back of the boat, and the textures line up, and that makes the back of the boat. Okay, so that's going to pop up, but the problem that we run into, okay, the stairs are not folding quite flat, you just push them flat. They'll get the message, and so there you go. That's looking nice. Back of the boat's looking nice. We move to part 12, the front of the boat. So I don't know that I've ever been on a boat out at sea. I think I went on a ferry one time. Like in Baltimore? I'm not even sure of that. A lot of lakes though, you know? On a lot of boats on lakes, canoes on rivers, done that. We had this river that was pretty close to our house. It was only like a 2-mile walk through the woods and some cow fields. And we'd go back there and I mean, you couldn't carry a boat 2 miles through cow fields, but I mean, you could just drive, and there was a place where the road intersected it, so. The Meherrin River. Used to go out there all the time. It's weird, I don't ever remember fishing on the Meherrin until I was an adult. And pretty good fishing. Caught a couple of bass. We actually stopped and went camping one time on the side of the Meherrin, and there was so much poison ivy, and I have never gotten poison ivy poisoning. They say it can happen anytime, so you should be careful no matter what. Because 1 second you're not allergic, and the next, you know, you've gotten a huge rash, had a massive allergic reaction. But so far I've been lucky. Fingers crossed. Never gotten poison ivy. So we camped up there, and I picked the camping spot, and there was some poison ivy, but I went in and like stamped it down first so nobody else would get any. They still did. Yeah, they were like covered in it the next day. Do I feel bad about that? A little bit, yeah, but like probably not as bad as I should. All right. The next part is putting this bad boy on the front. So you'll find the spots where 12 to B1 and 12 to B2 go in. And it's kind of a trick to line them up. This one's kind of at an angle, but you got this. Just line it up with the lines at the edge of the boat. Glue it down. It's going to overlap the 13 to B1 and 13 to B2 spots. That's fine. You're just gonna attach that right on top of it once you cut that out. I have been thinking about going on a cruise lately, but then like this coronavirus stuff, you know. So even if it's cheap, is it worth that threat? Worth taking that chance? For me, so far, for one thing, it needs to be cheaper. For me to be, it needs to be cheaper. Then it might be worth it. It's got to be really cheap though. So cheap that it's like, I'm like, oh, that's my normal food budget. I could go on a cruise and eat and go see places too. That's how cheap it needs to be. Are you listening to me, cruise liners? So, at this point, we're cutting out part number 13. And the main purpose of this part is because I thought it would be cool if the boat was like splashing up a bunch of water in the front. Maybe that could even represent, I know if you're in the Eberron world, like a lashed, like somebody's attached a water elemental to the front of this thing. and that's what's making it go, which would be cool. Personally, I'm definitely looking at Eberron for my next campaign. I loved it in 3.5 so much that I tried to run a whole Pathfinder campaign without converting anything from it. Just straight up. I'm sorry, group. Sorry, D&D group. Probably should have converted some stuff, but you know, I didn't. It was too easy for you guys. Alright, so this is the part 13. We're going part 13 to the base. And it just goes right on there. 13 to B1 on the one side. And you line up the textures best you can. And you glue it on down. Or tape. I keep saying glue, but you're just going to have to understand that means glue or tape. Okay? I'm going to keep messing it up. Just the way my wife knows that when I say left, I mean left or right. This means glue or tape. Okay? Not good with my left and right. Okay? It's tricky. Alright, part number 14. For some reason I always go with left. I'm like, you gotta turn left there. And then it's like, you mean right? I'm like, yes. And maybe that represents something, you know? I am starting to...
Dad, that's talking to yourself.
I'm not... I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to the camera.
Don't talk to cameras. They don't have faces.
I have to talk to the camera because I'm showing the people on the internet how to make this. Okay? Don't talk to yourself. That's great.
Cameras don't have
Alright,
faces.
you finished this one part, throw that away. Someone else will clean it up, like I said. So now...
Dad, no one talking to you.
Okay.
Cameras don't have faces.
You trim off the extra stuff here and...
Cameras don't have faces, and they don't talk.
Then you got part 14. And
Cameras don't do
okay. You got part 14. And you just attach that right there, 14 to B1, 14 to B2. It's going to be tilted out further than the other ones. But the base textures will line up great on this part. So you just line those up and glue it down. Okay, so you got the prow of the ship spraying up some waves there. Perfect. Next, we're on to part number 15, I believe. The sail. The sail.
Get to the sail. How do you get to the sail?
Okay, so you're gonna wanna cut that on out.
Dude, why are we talking to a camera? And cameras don't have faces.
Yes, Henry, cameras don't have faces. Anyway,
You have a camera.
alright. So this sail, many of you who are familiar with sails, you might be like, oh, the sail shouldn't be pointing that direction. Well, guess what? It's a magic boat. Okay? It's a magic boat. So just like cut me some slack. Which is actually, I think, a nautical term, so perfect. It's a magic boat, alright? It's like that boat from that song from Toy Story, you know? In my magic ship I sailed. A dream that ended too soon.
Dad, stop talking to a camera. Dad, if you keep talking
And you might have forgotten to score this part.
Dad, don't talk to a camera.
So now you score this part, okay? You're ready to go. And so the sail kind of comes off towards the front of the ship, attaches to the top and the bottom, and to there. 3 points of contact. So make sure you've got your tape on there. Tape there. Some tape on this square down here. Alright. So now you can attach it to the top. This is sort of the most important place it needs to attach, just kind of right up there at the top of the mast. And then this piece attaches in the front, and it should have a little bit of bend to it, I think, when you attach everything properly. That's okay, that's the way it should be. This piece kind of goes down in there, attaches down at the base of the mast, and when you fold it up, give it a little push, everything will fold flat, okay? This piece lost its tape a little bit, that's okay.
I didn't break it. I didn't break it.
I know you didn't break it. Okay. So we still have some sides to glue on, or tape on, obviously. And those parts are parts 17 and part 16, okay? So let's cut out all those.
Oh man. Oh my gosh.
'Alright, so we cut this out, and accidentally did part 17 before part 16. I'm sure that that'll be okay. Part 17's got a tuck in here just right. So it tucks all the way up so it's snug with that one, and it tucks under this one so it's snug there. And you might have to kind of push it underneath the parts that are in there, but it's worth it, okay? And that goes right in there, nice and snug. And go. And if you push it around a little bit, you should find that you can find the place where it goes in relation to the other textures on the base. So we're going to attach that. Make sure it's, push that side in first. Nice and snug. And get it right there where the textures match up. Okay. And that's that part. We're going to get the other parts, 6 to 17 and 7 to 17. We're going to glue those two spots on. Tape, whatever you're using. Tape those spots on and you'll be set. So we're coming here and do 6 to 17. Attach it down here where it belongs. Make sure that it kind of lines up well. Doesn't come up over the rails. And then this part is 7 to 17 is what it should say. It says 6 to 7. It says 7 to 16 now. I'm going to fix that 1 second on the PDF. Just know that it just glues to this side. So even at this late stage, I've had a couple of people go through and test this out. There's still a couple of places where there are some obvious things that I can fix, so I will do that. All right, part 16. Now we already did part 17, so we're traveling backwards a little bit, but the order on some of these doesn't matter, the order on some of them does. Like it would have been really hard to go back and put parts 1, 2, 3 in at this stage, but it still would be possible because that side is still open. Okay, this is the last part from this page, so after we're done with it, we just throw it on the ground. All right. So, favorite pirate? Probably Jean Lafitte. I mean, it just sounds like he really loved America, which is a weird thing, I guess, to have in a pirate. Which is why I like him. He's a weird pirate that loved America. But he has such a French name. So this is another one where you're going to have to find just the right spot and tuck this piece in. Maybe move the other pieces aside a little bit so that it goes right where it needs to go. Part number 16, everybody. All right, and then we're gonna put some tape on these side attachments and attach the sides. So get that main deck attached, and then the foredeck attached. And this is a good time to make sure everything folds flat, which a little bit of, okay, there we go. Folds flat, pops back up. Okay? Sometimes you just have to push on it a little bit with these, because there's just subtle edges where things just need a little bit more space to line up because of the way you glued them down, just a little bit different from the pattern or whatever, and so you just have to push on a little and it'll work out great. Alright, so now we've got these these little parts that are just there to make it look beautiful. So let's do it. Part number 18. This triangle is designed to go beside the stairs and make them look good. So it looks like there's a solid piece there. And it just has these little tiny triangles of space that are going to need a little bit of adhesive. So let's give them what they want. There's not going to be a whole lot holding this piece on, so we need to make sure that the pieces that are holding it on are there and are pushed on there pretty good so it sticks. Again, I do like tape for this. I think it provides a little more assurance that if something gets pushed or unstuck, that it will stick back when you fold everything flat. I feel like the ones I've put together with tape have been a little bit more sturdy than the ones I put together with glue. So this piece forms a right triangle, hits along the bottom of the stairs, just matches up right with the stairs there, and then you just push it into place where it can be pushed in. So that forms that side of the stairs. Next, we've got part number 19. Now, part number 19 is one of these parts on the back. Okay, these parts are going to make it so you can't see. You can kind of see in there right now. I'm going to make it so that you can't with these parts. And that is their main purpose, is to make the back look good. So people are like, oh dang, that's a fine boat. I'm not sure why other people looking at this boat are Canadian now, but I mean the Canadians I know, they know boats, man. You know, one of my best friends, one of my best Canadian friends, I should say. We don't really hang out much because he's in Canada. I assume. I think that's why. But he was like, he worked for like a couple of years like building boats out of wood in Canada. I guess. I mean, maybe that's a given. But, you know. Alright, so this is parts 19 to 9 and 20 to 9. And these parts are just going to go on the back here. And they're going to make it so that the back has a sort of closure situation. It's not just sitting open. It's closed. I mean, if you like the way the back looks now, you can just leave it. That's up to you. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Yet. That's in the next video. So you just glue that or tape, whichever you like, onto there. And once you've got your double-sided tape in place, or glue, you can glue this pretty easily. I think the first one I did, I glued it. It works great. It still looks good. All right. And then these pieces just match up with the rails there, and go down like that, so that makes a little, closes that little gap, makes it look like there's a more like solid three-dimensional shape, which is a big deal for me, these pop-ups. That's important. So there we go. We got the back of the boat looking good. And now it's time for us to do a little touch-up on this, the door to the captain's cabin, as I like to think of it. So we got tab 1 and T1, okay? And we're just gonna cut out all the white space again. You don't need to cut out these parts so much, but you definitely need to cut out these. So if you don't have an X-Acto knife, now is the time for you to become some sort of scissor expert. I feel like I was as a kid. Like, I didn't have X-Acto knives, but I feel like I was cutting all kinds of crazy stuff with scissors, you know? So maybe it's possible to do with scissors. I, for one, wouldn't want to try it. I mean, you could always print out 2 of this page and then like cut it out with scissors and then glue the 2 parts together. Huh? Yeah? If you're a crazy person, which, yeah, you might be. Okay, so you cut out this little letter E shape. The letter E. This boat brought to you by the ocean. Paper. And the letter E. And what's going to happen is this piece is going to slot on to this piece, and then the whole thing is going to attach to that piece right there. You guys can see that? It's going to go right there. Boom. Alright, so this piece is going to need a little bit of adhesive. Do that real quick. These little T1 spots. The T1 calculator. No, it's TI. Never mind. That joke doesn't even make sense. Erase that. Videographer who's filming this, who's totally not me. Alright, so we slot this piece, the slanted side should be facing the stairs. We slot E, this little T1 with the E's, right into that. And then we glue those spots or tape onto the T1 attachment points inside. Okay? And then we sort of lift it up. And there we go. Now we have 2 ships. Okay, they're fighting each other. Okay? So, the pop-up ship is now complete. And, you know, you guys are free to sail across seas looking for adventure, get attacked by krakens and stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Should be able to find these soon on stonehavenmini.com. Get the digital files. Thanks for watching, and thanks for backing the project. If you backed the project, if you didn't back the project, just thanks for watching only. And that's it. Thanks, guys.